Hi, welcome. I'm Namasturm of Namasturm Yoga, and this is Intro to Vinyasa. So very often in a practice we'll start sitting, but today let's go ahead and start in child's pose. So go ahead and come to your knees. Have your knees a little wider than your hips, and this is going to allow, as you fold down into child's pose, there to be space between your legs for your belly to expand. Reach your arms out onto your mat. Let your forehead rest on the floor, and you can relax your forearms as well, so you're not lifting your elbows off the ground. You're just letting yourself sink down and give up the weight of your body to your mat. Feel the breath move into the back of the body as you inhale and expand your torso in all directions. And as you exhale, just feel like you're just sinking down a little bit more into the floor. Breathe here. Start to bring your mind to focus on your breath. And then before we move, we're going to transition to an Ujjayi breathing practice. So keep your forehead relaxed on the floor. Keep your weight sinking into the ground with the hips on the heels. But just start to slightly narrow the back of the throat. And this is the signature feature of an Ujjayi breath. If you do this breath in and out through your mouth with your mouth open, it's kind of like that Darth Vader breath sound. So it's that rushing kind of sound. But we're going to do it with the mouth closed so that the sound is a little bit more subtle. You should be able to hear it, but it's not real loud. See if you can take a couple rounds of that here in child's pose. And then we're going to try to make the breath rhythmic, so even it out. So the inhales and exhales are lasting the same amount of time each time you go through the breath cycle. So inhaling and exhaling, find a rhythm that feels comfortable for you. And then the next time you inhale, go ahead and bring yourself up to tabletop. Move the hips so that move the knees so that they're under the hips and the shoulders are over the wrists here. Then we're going to go into some cat-cow stretches following the rhythmic breath that we just established. So on an inhale, come to cow pose, head and tail lift, chest and belly drop. As you exhale, tuck your tail, arch your spine towards the ceiling, head comes down. And then keep following the breath, and because we have a rhythmic breath, the body will also move in a rhythmic way. So this really is just the warm-up to our practice. We're warming up our spine, which you'll be able to tell right away, but we're also warming up the breath-body connection, which really is the heart of a vinyasa practice, where we're going to flow through our yoga poses, following the pace and rhythm of the breath, and the breath is just going to continue. That really is our anchor, our cornerstone throughout practice is the breath. It's consistent, it's going to be there the whole time. We're going to add on a little here. So you're inhaling to cow pose, a little bit of a back bend. Next time you exhale, as you start to round the spine, drop your hips to your heels. Take a brief child's pose. Inhale, back up to cow. And now we're going to tuck toes, lift knees and hips, exhale to down dog. And we're going to keep flowing through these three poses. So knees to the floor, inhaling cow pose, and then alternating on exhales between child's pose and downward facing dog. Child's pose, more of a resting pose. Downward facing dog, a little more active, but a very balanced pose. Inhaling back to cow each time. We'll take a couple more here. Follow the pace of your breath. And this is true throughout the entire practice. If you're breathing a little faster or slower than me and you feel like your pace is a little different than mine, that's fine. So honor the pace of your breath. This really is your practice. I'm trying to guide you through and help to give you suggestions, but do what works for you. Now the next time we come to downward facing dog, we're going to hold, and this is a pose that we want to give ourselves a chance to kind of work into, especially the first time here. So keeping the fingers spread wide, root through all of your fingers and your thumbs. Keep the arms long and the hips high. The knees can be really bent here, at least at first, because it really helps to lengthen in the spine. Whereas sometimes if we straighten the legs, it tends to kind of push the shoulders and the upper back forward. But if you bend the knees, you might be able to move back. Now, to start working the legs, straighten just one leg and drop that heel to the floor, but keep the other knee really bent and take a breath here. And then switch to the other side. And again, we're really just warming up the body here, starting to move into different muscle groups. Breathing here this whole time. Now, we're going to even out the legs. Walk the feet just a little closer together. Usually the feet are hip distance apart in down dog. Let's take the right leg up. Try to keep your hips square. So notice, if you can, that the toes are flexed to the ground. Then look forward between your hands and step that right foot up. Knee over ankle. So this is actually very important. We want to keep a vertical shin bone, and this is going to support this knee joint. So stack your knee above your ankle and then plant your left palm. Take the right arm up and twist. As you're turning your torso open, keep reaching through the back heel. This back leg is straight, so notice if you tend to bend your back knee and see if you can instead straighten it out. Now, turn back to the ground. We're going to step to plank. So keep your shoulders over your wrists. Step the right foot back to meet the left. Long through the spine, so keep reaching the head toward the front of the mat and the heels toward the back of the mat. Strong through the core, so pull your navel up towards your spine, a little toning in that area. Now we're going to lower to the floor. First one through, I recommend dropping knees down first. Then as you lower your chest between your hands, keep your elbows over your wrists, elbows tucked in by the sides of the body, and try not to let the hips land before the chest. If the feet go up, that's okay. Let's now just come to an easy sphinx. So elbows right under shoulders. This is a really nice little back bend, heart forward, fingers spread. Maybe soften up the glutes back here. You could shake the legs out if that feels good to you. Now you can stay here with this one, or if you want to push up a little higher, straighten the arms and come up, but try to keep the shoulders and ears apart. So don't hunch those shoulders to the ears, but keep them separated. And then finally, if you're ready for full cobra, walk the hands a little closer into the body. Elbows stay tucked by the sides and a little soft, shoulders back, heart forward of those shoulders. And then the gaze is forward, soft neck, so the head's not all the way back or all the way down, but really neutral. Now from here, tuck toes, lift knees and hips, and you're back in downward facing dog. And breathe here. Feet are about hip distance, classically in down dog. Hands are shoulder distance. So notice shoulder distance is actually slightly wider than hip distance. Lift the left leg into the air. So we're going to do the same thing on the second side. So go ahead and try to keep your hips squared, which means the left hip isn't going any higher than the right one. Look to the front of the mat and step your left foot up. Knee over ankle. Nice vertical shin. And if that foot doesn't get that far forward, so where you feel like your knee is way past your foot, use your hand to help you. So you're really making the most of that long lunge. Plant your right palm, and now the left arm goes up, twisting the other way. Shoulders stack, back leg straight, knee over ankle, really dynamic in all directions. Now we're going to turn back to the floor, once again stepping to plank. Keep that back leg really strong and see if you can keep your shoulders and hips in place as you step the left foot to meet the right. Plank pose. Now, this really is what we're going to do next, the Vinyasa sequence. So we're lowering down, and you can drop the knees first, or maybe lower through Chaturanga Dandasana, which is a challenging low plank pose. Elbows stay over wrists, shoulders move forward. And then if you can come all the way to the ground, then you can just roll right up into Cobra. And then exhale, tuck your toes, lift your knees and hips. Find downward facing dog. And if you want, you can take a moment to pedal through the feet, or since we've already worked that, maybe just think about lengthening each time you inhale, pressing the hands down, lifting the hips up, deepening each time you exhale, moving the chest back a little bit more towards the thighs. Breathe. So as you're holding here and breathing, the pose is relatively still, but there's just subtle internal shifts that are happening. So you're staying alive and engaged. Next, inhale, look to the front of the mat. As you exhale, step, or you can lightly hop the feet forward, but maybe this first time just step or walk. And then we're gonna have the feet about hip distance apart. Let's just hang for a moment. Soften up the knees, let the upper body go. Dangle. So knees, don't worry about the hamstrings here, just let them go so that your belly can just kind of rest on your thighs. Let the head hang from your neck. Loosen it. You can sway the arms, or if the hands hit the ground, grab your elbows so they don't, and sway the torso a little. Release, breathing still. Now release your elbows. Walk the feet together so the big toes touch. So at the top of your mat, and I'm at the top of mine, but you can be at the top of your mat, the classic standing position for the feet is parallel. Feet, toes touch, heels don't. Bend the knees and let's roll on up to standing. So rolling through the spine, come on up, and then take a moment to roll your shoulders back and down. Should feel good here. All right, so still at the top of the mat, big toes touch, heels slightly apart. We're gonna take the arms out and up. Now grab the right wrist with the left hand and take yourself over to a side stretch towards the left. Press the feet down, keep your torso facing forward. Breathe into your rib cage on that right side. Inhale, come on up, and then switch to the other direction. Grab your left wrist, take yourself over to the right. Just a little tug on that wrist. Breathing. We're about to go into our Sun A's, which really is the foundation of our Vinyasa practice. So we developed the breath. We found that connection between breath and body movement. We've warmed ourselves up. And now this is the foundational sequence that we'll continue to follow and adjust throughout. So step to the top of the mat, big toes to touch, heels slightly apart. There's only one more pose that we haven't done yet as this sequence, and it's a very simple one. So now from here, press your palms, and then on an inhale, reach the arms out and up. As you exhale, swan dive forward over your legs to a forward fold. Now, bring your fingers to your shins. We're going to hold for a couple breaths. This is Ardha Uttanasana, or a half forward fold. So we want to think about having a flat back, reaching the head and neck forward, and lengthening the tailbone back, nice and long. If your hamstrings are open, you can slide the fingers further down to your ankles or maybe to the floor. But if it means you're rounding your back, then just take the hands where you can keep the spine long. Now, plant your palms, bend the knees, step to plank. We'll do this first one really slow. Take an extra breath in plank. Normally, we're going to do one breath per movement. Now, when you're ready to lower, maybe lower through chaturanga. Now you have a choice. You can come all the way to the floor and take cobra. Or if you're ready for an up dog, you're going to roll over the toes and keep just the tops of the feet on the floor. Shoulders are still away from the ears. Elbows, although the arms are straight, the elbows are soft. They've got a little give in them. And heart is forward. Now roll over the toes. So use your core to lift those hips up. Roll over the toes. Reach the chest back. This is downward facing dog. You'll hold here for a couple of breaths. Sometimes you'll hold a short down dog, maybe just one breath, but classically down dog is held for about 5 breaths. Fingers spread wide. Press the hands forward and down. So you're rooting into the mat to help lift the hips higher. As you exhale, deepen, maybe lean towards your legs or straighten the legs or drop your heels. Nice high peak to your pose. Then inhale, look forward between the hands. Exhale, step or lightly hop if you want, bend the knees. Inhale, now take that half lift again. Exhale, fold down deep. Inhale, reverse swan dive, come up. And exhale, palms together in front of the heart. Let's do a few more here. Inhale. Exhale, Uttanasana. One breath per movement here, so really follow your breath. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, high to low plank. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let's just take one breath to keep it moving. Inhale, exhale, step or hop forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold down deep. Inhale, reverse swan dive, come up. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. We're going to repeat a few more times just to get the body flowing. Forward fold. Inhale, lift. Exhale, high to low plank. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take one inhale. Exhale, step or hop to the top of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold down deep. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhale, palms together. Let's keep going. I'm going to stop cueing so you can really focus on your own breath. It's the same movements. We're going to go through this 2 more full times through. Keep flowing, follow your rhythm. When you get to down dog, once again, take one good inhale, and then exhale, step or hop lightly to the top of the mat. Inhale and exhale, and when you finally finish your sequence, and take your time if you're not there yet, keep flowing, but we'll end with palms together in front of the heart, eyes closed, breathing. Press the feet into the floor, the palms into each other, and find a moment of stillness.